So unfortunately, you're injured. What are some things you can do to still improve your strength, your endurance, and your mental toughness while you're injured? Let's take a look at a few ideas. Hi, I'm Coach Robb, and at the time of this recording, I've been a human performance coach going on 40 years. And dealing with injuries is one of the most difficult things for an athlete to endure, not just for the obvious reasons of having to deal with the discomfort of an injury, but the mental stress that comes from it. And I want to share with you a couple things that we do with all of our clients, and we've had tremendous success, and I want to make sure that you know what to do to make sure that you get the most out of that unfortunate period of time. When you look at performance at the highest level, I want you to think about something like the Olympics. What are all the little nuances that you see when you're watching the Olympics? You see somebody who is focusing on their breathing. You notice that they've got that laser focus. You notice that they are visualizing. Sometimes you'll see them closing their eyes and they're visualizing. You'll see them doing some dynamic movements. You will notice that they're doing some form of warm-up before their activity. Now, let's stop and think about the idea that unfortunately you have some downtime. What do we do with that downtime? Well, ironically, the exact same thing. If we look at this kind of in categories, you've got some downtime. Let's say that unfortunately, maybe you broke your leg and you've got to be sitting in bed for a week post-op. I'm going to go pretty hardcore on the scenario here, right? Well, while you're laying there, you could learn how to diaphragmatically breathe. At the end of this video, I'll put a link to our diaphragmatic breathing video. It's a very, very powerful way to maximize the amount of oxygen that's in the blood. When you get into a highly stressful environment, we have a tendency to breathe very shallow through the top of our lungs versus breathing very deeply through our diaphragm. So while you're laying there, you can put one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest, and you can learn how to neuromuscularly start to engage your diaphragm. It doesn't come naturally. When we're frightened, we have a tendency to breathe very shallow through the top of our lungs. So learning how to breathe through your diaphragm is going to maximize the oxygen in the blood, which becomes very beneficial not only before the race, but while you're in the midst of it, learning how to keep breathing very deeply. Let's talk about the idea that some people crack mentally on race day. If you look at the best military personnel in the world, for all of those who serve in the family, sincere thank you for your service. You look at the military personnel, look at how when they hit the ground, they're not looking at each other asking, what are we going to do? Where are we going? It's been rehearsed so many times, they know exactly what's going to happen in scenario A, B, C, and they exhaust every scenario that could happen. Why? Because, like they say in the military, if you think, you die. When we're looking at athletic performance, think about your mental toughness. Whether your inability to focus because of social media, we're taught to kind of focus in 3 and 5 second increments. Maybe that's one of the reasons why you can't stay focused and really optimize your sports performance. If you've identified it as a weakness, you've got this downtime to start working on it. When you look at something like when you look at something like improving your flexibility, your range of motion. Let's say I broke my right leg and yes, it's in a cast. Well, I could be foam rolling my left leg. I could be using a roll recovery and working on my arms. I could be doing a roll recovery and working on my quads and my hamstrings. The soft tissue, unfortunately, you've got one part of your body that has been injured. You can still be working the other parts of your body. We can even go so far as when the doctor allows you to do so, while you're sitting maybe on a couch, or a chair, or somewhere where you can keep that leg safely out of the way, you can do. Let's say that you messed up your right leg. Well, you can do things to engage your left leg. Put your right leg on a skateboard and have somebody spot you from behind and do a single leg isolated leg squat. Let the foot go out on the skateboard. You're engaging all of that left side while the right side heals. You could still do core work. You could still do bicep, tricep, shoulder press. You could still do lat pullback. The idea here is you've got to get creative. I know it's frustrating, but energy creates energy. Now, we don't want to do anything that's going to cause a physical setback. I definitely want you to make sure that you pass it by your doctor. Make sure you talk with your physical therapist. Those are your two most important friends when it comes to recovering quickly but without impeding on that recovery process, a very finite line. So zoom out to 10,000 feet. I'm sorry that you've gotten hurt, but these little tricks have been things that we've worked with our athletes to make sure that we don't see a lot of muscle atrophy on the rest of the body just because one body part's been hurt. Obviously, it gets a little bit more complicated if you have multiple injuries, but for the sake of a one body part injury, you still have a lot of things that you can work on, and all of them you see manifest themselves on race day. Goes without saying, if you've been sticking with me here on YouTube, you already have good eating habits, you have good sleep habits, you have good hydration habits. The good news is you don't have to clean up your eating, just keep doing what you're already doing. So with that being said, I hope this gives you a little bit of a glimmer of hope and a glimmer of light. I'm so sorry that you've gotten hurt, but let's make the most out of it physically and mentally. With that being said, I can't thank you enough for your time here today. If you happen to have a question, please feel free to send me an email, because every one of these videos is coming from your email questions that you guys are sending in. And the number continues to go up every week. And again, thank you for that. You can send me an email, contact@coachrobb.com. I'll make sure I email back to you, and I'll take your question and convert it into a video. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for watching today. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications, because we do put out a video every day, and it's my hope that I'll see you again tomorrow.